Here are the top waiver wire targets following week 2 of the fantasy football season, including whether or not they deserve your blind bid dollars or your waiver wire priority. Isaiah Pacheco is set to miss the next 6 to 8 weeks with a fractured fibula, freeing up 19 plus touches, including 3 plus targets per game in a high-powered Kansas City Chiefs Patrick Mahomes offense. Now, if you're looking for the next Isaiah Pacheco, don't hold your breath because there won't be one. There's likely not going to be a direct one-to-one replacement for Isaiah Pacheco. In all likelihood, the Kansas City Chiefs are going to turn to a two-headed committee between rookie Carson Steele on early downs and in short yardage situations, as well as veteran Samaje Perine in obvious passing down type of situation. Now, given his experience, it is within the realm of possibilities that Samaje Perine could directly overtake Carson Steele and serve as more of a one-to-one replacement for Isaiah Pacheco moving forward. He has early down experience. He has passing down experience. It is possible that he passes Carson Steele, who's been listed as a fullback on the team's depth chart. I'm not saying it's likely, but it is possible. There is that added sliver of appeal and upside for Samaje Perine moving forward. But literally, as I'm recording this, I see a report that the Kansas City Chiefs are hosting familiar face and free agent Kareem Hunt, who started his career with the Kansas City Chiefs. He's familiar with Andy Reid's system. It could be an easy transition into the Kansas City Chiefs offense, which would throw a wrench into this entire backfield operation, making it really hard to project and predict who is going to be the Chiefs running back to roster moving forward. But in the short term, as for week 3 specifically, if you're in a pinch, if you're hurting at running back, give Carson Steele a look. Candidly, I'm not rushing to grab him. I'm not rushing to use waiver wire priority, and I'm certainly not spending a lot of blind bidding dollars. But in my leagues where I am needy at running back or I do need a plug-and-play type of option, Carson Steele is definitely on that radar for week 3. Another rookie running back that should be on your radar as a week 3 waiver wire claim is Bucky Irving. Rachaad White suffered a groin strain in week 2, putting his week 3 status in jeopardy, and if Rachaad White were to miss any time or miss it, even just week 3, Bucky Irving would become an instant plug-and-play RB2 with some added upside as home favorites against the Denver Broncos. It's a great matchup, it's a great situation, and if you can see Bucky Irving being in your week 3 fantasy football lineup, then he's going to be every bit worthy of waiver wire priority or blind bidding dollars. Just keep an eye on news and reports about the status of Rachaad White and whether or not he's going to play in week 3. Similarly, Joe Mixon suffered an ankle injury, putting his week 3 status in jeopardy. Now, not so similarly to Tampa Bay, where Bucky Irving is the clear and obvious RB2. He's the next man up if anything happens to Rachaad White. In Houston, it's a little bit more murky. It's a little bit more cloudy. Dameon Pierce started the year as Joe Mixon's RB2, but he missed week 2 with a hamstring injury of his own. If he doesn't play in week 3, then we have a very, very clear answer, and the answer would be Cam Akers. Now, if Dameon Pierce is healthy and ready to roll, then it's really anybody's guess as to who is going to be the next man up in Joe Mixon's absence. If you're desperate, if you're hurting, if you're needy at running back, both of these guys, Cam Akers and Dameon Pierce, are worthy of your consideration, although you should keep an eye on Joe Mixon and Dameon Pierce practice reports and injury reports leading up to week 3 to know whether or not any of these guys are even going to be worthwhile. Chuba Hubbard handled 14 touches in week 2, including 4 catches on 5 targets. And now moving forward into week 3, the Carolina Panthers have benched 2023 first overall pick Bryce Young, and they are moving forward with veteran Andy Dalton as their quarterback. Now, theoretically, this should be an upgrade at the quarterback position. This should be an upgrade for the offense as a whole. It should make it easier for them to move the ball, get into scoring position, and those things are never a bad thing for the running back of that team. So if you're in a position where you're in a needy spot, specifically in week 3 when Chuba Hubbard has a really nice matchup against the Las Vegas Raiders, you could do worse than looking at Chuba Hubbard as a waiver wire claim in week 3. Now, to be clear, I would only recommend using priority or blind bidding dollars if and only if you know he's going to be in 3 lineup. But if he is, you could do a lot worse than Chuba Hubbard this week. D'Onta Foreman had 14 carries and 1 catch in week 2, providing plenty of volume to be fantasy football relevant, and he has some really, really nice matchups coming up in the ensuing weeks against the New York Giants, the Las Vegas Raiders, and the Washington Commanders. If you're needy, if you're in a pinch, if you need a running back and you know that D'Onta Foreman has a chance to make it into your week 3 starting lineup, then he's every bit worthy of waiver wire priority or blind bidding dollars. In my 2024 fantasy football draft guide, I noted the possibility of Hunter Henry serving as the New England Patriots target hog in an offense where there's no clear-cut wide receiver 1, and in week 2, that's exactly what happened. Hunter Henry caught 8 of 12 targets for 109 scoreless yards, which is 18.9 PPR points. Now, the Pats are likely going to be chasing points against the Jets in week 3, the 49ers in week 4, making it entirely possible that Hunter Henry once again serves as Jacoby Brissett's #1 target in the passing game. It's not pretty, it feels gross, but Hunter Henry is definitely on the streaming radar in week 3. Now, to be clear, I would not be using any sort of waiver wire priority. I would not be using blind bidding dollars on Hunter Henry. But if he clears waivers and I'm able to grab him early on Wednesday morning or whenever your waiver wire runs, then I'm adding him for free. He's one of my first looks after the waiver wire processes. Similarly, almost identically, in my 2024 Fantasy Football Draft Guide, in my Cincinnati Bengals episode that I did a few weeks back, I talked about the possibility of Mike Gesicki being a super sneaky threat in Joe Burrow's offense, especially without Tyler Boyd and especially still without T. Higgins. And in week 2, he caught 7 of 9 targets for 91 scoreless yards, which is over 16 PPR points, which is really tough to find at the tight end position in fantasy football. He's not going to do this every week, and T. Higgins will be back sooner than later, but Mike Gesicki is absolutely on the streaming radar in week 3 if you're in a pinch and you need a tight end. He's not somebody I would be using any sort of waiver priority on. He's not somebody I would be spending blind bidding dollars on. But if you need a tight end in week 3, wake up early on Wednesday morning or whenever your waivers process and add him for free after he clears waivers. Really quickly, I just want to note that Jackson Smith-Njigba is available in 21% of Yahoo leagues. And this is a guy that just had a 16 target performance in week 2. Likewise, Jamison Williams is surprisingly available in 17% of Yahoo leagues, and he has 20 targets in the last 2 games. Obviously, these guys are not likely to be available in your leagues, but do yourself a favor, check your waiver wire, and make sure that these guys aren't available, and if they are, change that. If you're looking for more names to target on the week 3 waiver wire, I put together a little cheat sheet every single week that has not only the names of players to target, but also whether or not you should consider using waiver wire priority or blind bidding dollars on those players. And best yet, I give that cheat sheet away for free. You can grab it using the link that we left for you in the show notes below. That's going to be all for today. Hopefully you found this helpful. Hopefully you find the cheat sheet below. Hopefully you find that helpful. Be sure to tune in on Friday at noon Central. Every week we do a live Ask Me Anything show. Most people have start-sit questions coming up for the upcoming week. We do it right here on YouTube every Friday at noon Central. I will see you on the fantasy football field. Cheers. This brew's for you.